Hello, it's me again. One thing that I wanted to clarify, and I should have clarified in my other videos, was about anxiety. Was even though my dad's a doctor, I never went on medication, and that's something that was important to me because I just didn't want to do it. And I understand there are people out there that need to do that, but I just wanted to say I didn't. And also, the other thing I wanted to clarify was that I did go to a doctor to make sure to rule out if there was anything going on, because there were all kinds of weird feelings I got in my body, things that scared me. And those who have anxiety, I'm sure, can relate to this. I would get like weirdness in the head, um, my chest and my legs, all over my arms, weird pains shooting up. It was just weird. And the one thing that was a big comfort to me, that when I was first experiencing anxiety and it was so new to me, was I really liked to find videos where people explained what kind of symptoms they were having, and that helped me a lot because then I can kind of rule out the different things that were happening to me. Although, like I said, I did go to a doctor and make sure everything was okay, and there didn't seem to be anything really wrong with physically with me. But one of the symptoms I would get a lot was just these like weirdness in the head. Like sometimes I would call them brain zaps. Like just like all of a sudden I'd feel like weird in the head. And that got my heart racing because I'd start getting scared, like, oh no, I'm gonna have a brain tumor or something, or I don't know, like I'm gonna have like an aneurysm or something like that. I would get, my heart racing, weird feeling, like that jelly feeling in my legs, feeling dizzy, feeling scared. I Those are pretty much the symptoms that I experienced. And also, there, different episodes happen that I was just reminded of this by a friend of mine, a dear friend who's going through anxiety herself. And one time I was home alone with the kids in the basement. We had the playroom in the basement, and things were just fine. I was playing with the kids. I was having fun. I was actually, things were fine. And out of the blue, I just got like this major panic attack, and I had to call my mom, just to be like, hey mom, like I'm feeling really weird. If anything happens to me, the kids are here. I don't want them to be alone. And I had this fear that I would die and that my kids would be, having to call 911 when they were too little to call 911. So that, those were different fears I went through a lot. And I also mentioned already the driving and, being in the grocery store. I hated being in a restaurant. Like the thought of being stuck in a booth with just waiting for, I hated that. So restaurants, stores, driving, being alone with the little children, that became something a little bit scary to me. I distinctly remember that one episode with the kids, but I don't, that wasn't a huge thing, thank goodness. But also one thing that helped me a lot with the anxiety, was I wasn't eating healthy, and I was having at the time, I had gone to my dad because he's a doctor, and he was telling me that my diet probably had something to do with it. And my husband was reading a really interesting book called Wheat Belly, where you realize how bad a lot of, like, how it's not good to have too much, a lot of gluten in your diet. You have to cut back on gluten. So when I did that, I did significantly notice that when I cut back on the gluten, that really helped me to feel better in general. And the days that I would cheat and have, my daughters were working for Chick-fil-A at the time, and I love Chick-fil-A sandwiches. And so when I would give in and have that sandwich that had the bun on it, I noticed I wasn't doing so great. So I had to be careful about cutting back on the gluten. Also, I'll admit I was drinking too much wine. At the time, I wasn't like a drunkard, but I was depending too much on wine to relax at the end of the day, and that didn't do me much good either. And also, I think the one thing that I was doing wrong also was, when I was going through all this, I should have been stronger, I think, to hide it from the children, because it didn't have a very good effect on the kids. I wished I had been a little bit stronger to not show how anxious I was, because, I just wish I hadn't. So that's one thing that I think if you have young children, like if you can, try to hide it if you can. Like don't. I think it isn't very good for them. Um, it's funny, when I was a kid, I was telling my husband this, that, we never, things were so different in the 1980s, 1970s, 1990s. Um, Kids didn't really talk about anxiety. You don't, right? I don't know how to explain it, but like, we didn't, nowadays, I hear teenagers playing with my kids and they're like, oh no, I don't do that. I have anxiety. Or they're going to get a panic attack about something or whatever. And it's making me wonder more and more, like how badly things are coming at us by whatever, things in the air, the food we eat and all that. It's not good for us. So, when I was a kid, like, I think it probably was healthier. The environment was a little bit healthier. But I just don't remember it ever coming up, kids having those issues that we have now. So, there was something else I wanted to mention, but there is one thing that I should mention, because I was praying so hard at the time for God to help me to get over the the anxiety I was going through. And I remember my sister, so let me get to the point here. My sister sells something, and it's I don't know how to describe it. It's not exactly a vitamin. It's some kind of herbal thing she sells. And I started taking it, and I am not kidding. Like, this stuff really, really helped me. And I was maybe going to do a podcast with her sometime to talk about it, but I haven't done that yet. But I don't have it with me, but I might. I'll show another video what it is that I take, but it's some kind of herbal thing. But I did notice a big difference, and it's supposed to like detoxify you naturally, and it really helped. I really think it was a godsend. So, I mean, I know it looks like I'm plugging it in here, but I am plugging it in because I believe it works. Anyway, that's just one of the things I wanted to clarify, that I had gone to the doctor and they had ruled out stuff. And so that's it for now. I had a few moments because the kids aren't in the car. So, alrighty. Thank you. Bye.